Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and today for our Monday art lesson, I figured we'd learn how to draw cool, um, comic explosions or just special effects that you want to put into your artwork. So if you're doing comic books, you're just drawing this really cool scene. How to draw different things to make it look like there's an explosion or a puff of cloud. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and get started. Um, the first thing we're going to start with is just like a general, just kind of like mushroom cloud type thing. But the key to it is it's all in your shading because anybody can sit here and we can draw like this, like what I'm doing now, where we kind of just draw the shape and the energy of the direction of the comic. So you can see I'm just kind of going real loose here and just kind of um, capturing the energy first of what it is I'm trying to draw. Okay, now obviously we're gonna have this like it's on the ground, so we'll draw that in a minute later. Um, but yeah, so just kind of keeping different energetic looks by just simply um, kind of, for lack of a better word, just kind of jerking the line around and getting it to look like things are exploding out and up. And obviously, if you want to, you could go like type in a movie that has explosions and you could kind of look at a paused frame of the cloud itself. Now we're going to put kind of a bottom in here for the ground. Okay, so once I have that in there, I could start doing things like drawing the cloud itself or the explosion. Again, just keeping that same energy, but it's going upwards, right? So, um, changing up because we don't want it all to be symmetrical. You want to kind of make it asymmetrical, which means it's not even on both sides. So you want to kind of just go in there and do something different on the other side compared to what you've already done. Okay. So now I can start doing things like shaping the cloud, kind of bubbles, if you will. Um, that'll really help kind of sell the rolling of the clouds. I guess would be the best way to describe that. Um, so think of it almost like you're kind of drawing a tree, kind of like you did back in the day when you were younger, or you may be young watching this and you never did it before. But regardless, just having that kind of shape around. And then if you wanted to do something cool with like the kind of sonic sound kind of thing, you can kind of draw this um, not really a hoop. Almost think of it like an angel's halo, and we can kind of have that go around, right? And then I can just continue my shape. Now, due to the edge of my paper, I'm kind of cutting it off a little. So I'm going to drag that down just a tiny bit just so you can see it. Um, but we're going to have to kind of cut that off at the top up there. And then just bring that down into the cloud so we can have that kind of like booming effect going around it, right? And then we could add a few more little details They kind of, again, just kind of sell that energy. We can have slight particles that come off of it. Okay, but again, this is where the important part comes in. So the shading is what's going to help kind of sell that motion. So I'm going to kind of like make this little space that comes back here, and then I'm just going to kind of shade that in. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of selling the shape of it. So these are going to be my background explosion lines that have more depth to them. So I'm just kind of hatching these things in. So you see how that gives that depth now? And we'll do the same thing on this side. Let me just fix this. We're just going to make a straight line. And then we can kind of take that out. And then since it's behind, again, I can just kind of come in and hatch that out. Now, obviously, if you color this or do something, that'll help sell it as well too, just by changing the color of everything. But you can see how that's starting to give it some depth. Maybe we can make a few more little explosion things come off. But then for your like cloud shapes, you want to do the same thing, right? So let me see if I can get my camera to refocus here. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to come in here on this under part of the cloud, and I'm just going to hatch that in. Again, just those parts where I'm going to have some heavy shadow, change the shape up some so it's not as um, like kind of like clumped up into one area. Something else I could do is kind of add in more of those explosion shapes in here. Okay, and then again, just these areas. Let's add like another cloud right here. I can just come through and kind of hatch that out. And just run that through. That backside there, so you can see how it's kind of helping it come to life a little bit. Just add a little bit of shading right down in here. Okay, and then same thing with this part of the cloud here. I can kind of get that bottom edge. Just kind of hatch that in, or you could, shade and smooth if you want to. But I'm just gonna go in. And we're going to shade this back side of the cloud right here. Okay. So that's a basic explosion, right? More of like a mushroom cloud type thing. The next thing you can do is just, more of your typical, just kind of like a boom cloud, if you will. So we can just focus then on just poofing out some cloud shapes here. you want to put a little bit of variety in the shape. Don't just make it kind of like perfectly rounded. You want it to have some kind of puff look to it. So you can have some overlap every so often, like that. Put a few little poofs on the outside here, right? And then we can then go again. This is like let's say this was the initial explosion. This would be something more suited for the after explosion. Or you could use this for a building that's kind of smoking a little bit, maybe off in the distance. You could use the same kind of method for that. But what we're focusing on is, like I said, the overall shape of everything. Put a little ground line right in there. Okay, and then we can kind of poof that out there, and maybe a little bit of some extra lines, like maybe the wind is catching it some. But again, our main goal is to make it poof out like a cloud. Okay. So again, once you have those things in there, now you want to focus on the underside of your clouds by just going in and shading. And selling. So like how this is hitting the side over here. That's why I'm going to have some shading down through there. Same thing with maybe a little bit of the overturn here. Like that. Okay, definitely just hitting up the underside of all your cloud smoke. Will again help to make it look fluffy. Now how you put it in the scene is going to be key. You don't want to just kind of stick this thing by itself with nothing in the background to kind of tell you, because then somebody could think that this is just like a giant broccoli stalk that's growing out of the ground. That would be a little on the weird side for sure. So you can see how that's giving me some shape, difference. Okay, just really kind of selling your undersides to make it stand out. Okay, so as I work my way up, I can hit up those areas like right in here where these clouds are kind of covering and overlapping over it. So I definitely want to hit those areas. And again, I am just using simple hatching lines to build this up, right? So we're going to kind of come through and get this underside right here. Again, we could change up the shape some by warping the shadow. So again, if you're doing an explosion scene or you're just making one big huge illustration, this is a great starting point to get all your outlines for how you want to get it to shape. Just different areas where you have the overlapping is where you want to come in and focus that shading. All right, so once we have that in there, you can see how my clouds are all starting to take shape. And you can go, like this one's like overlapped a lot. So you don't have to like go down and around. This can be just all shaded in right there to kind of match what it is it's supposed to be doing, right? So see, I just have those filled in. Again, just picking different spots to kind of help sell the roundedness of it. And again, you have another smoke explosion. So now you might be thinking, well, how could I do like an electric, or somebody who's like powering up, something along those lines. You want to do kind of like you did on the explosion. You want to have that energy, right? So I'm going to come in and just really stretch out some lines of like where the energy would be crossing, uh, almost like a dome shape, because we want it to kind of wrap around either the character, or the area that the character's in, right? So I want to kind of have a spherical shape. You could obviously choose whatever shape you wanted to. But I'm just choosing to focus on more of a spherical shape because that's how it would kind of blast out in an animated motion, as it would just kind of wrap out. I am going to kind of go up into my other explosion here just to kind of get the point across. So I'll just erase out that line just so it looks like it's a separate image by itself for you. But you can see by doing that and then kind of keeping that rounded shape, notice I'm not keeping it straight, I'm keeping it nice and loose, right? And then we're kind of wrapping the energy around the shield. Well, I say shield, but around the bubble, um, just because that'll just help it seem like the energy is flowing around the thing that we're drawing. Right, so you can see how it looks like the energy is building up, right? And then I can come out here and we're kind of mixing in a little bit of some cloud action going on in here. Shaping the ground up with some smoke as it rises. And then just kind of come across the bottom here. Again, you can just kind of meet your ground there. Okay, and once I have that in there, I can meet that cloud right in here. Okay, so the key thing with this is, if you notice, I'm just staying nice and loose. I'm not trying to, overdo detail. It's the energy and the direction that you're taking your line work in that's going to sell the action of what's going on in your scene. right? So you can see how the explosion's different, and we can still come in here and give that shading in some areas to help give it more dimension, right? So I can come in here, shade in that back area, and then just the areas that are going to be like cloud smoke and stuff, that's where we come in and shade those things. The rest of it, we're just going to kind of keep bright because, again, it's an expulsion of energy, right? A lot of white light. Um, maybe have a lighter tone of shading if you want to just kind of show that that is wrapped around, or give it a little bit more of a boost to it. Same thing right here on this side, right? So again, this is an explosion of energy that's just helping, kind of sell what's going on. Now, the next thing, it's a little bit more challenging, but with enough practice, yeah, you should be able to get it down. But water, right? So let's say you're doing your own little like kind of avatar picture. You're kind of doing the same thing, but you got to start thinking about how water floats out. So a good way to kind of get used to this is look up water droplet splashes in like slow motion, and that'll help you kind of see how it warps and twists to make the splash itself. And there's a lot, when you look at it, there's a lot of overlapping that happens, right? A lot of wave action that kind of causes some motion in the water. So you're really trying to capture that as well too. But again, the key thing with all of this is staying loose and making sure that you're not keeping it dull. So you really want to capture that energy, right? So you can have some freedom with how you shape things, just as long as, again, you're keeping that kind of explosion kind of effect to it. And again, I'm going to kind of jump over into my other sketches just because I need to kind of save on space so I can fit everything in here. So what I'll do is just erase out that line work right in there. That way it all kind of just blends like it's going over the top so that you know it's something separate. Okay, so again, with the water we have a lot of overlapping. So we're going to have things that are waving in front of others. And then continuing, like I said, it's like a wave motion. So I'm just kind of jerking it out the line of it. And keeping that motion alive. Like I said, once you sit there and look at those videos of water splashing, or even if you want to look up still shots of it, I think you get a better idea of how the water moves though. If you kind of look at it that way. And we're going to add some shading. Again, just to give our image some depth. And again, these are basic sketches of explosions and things, or energy projections. You can obviously add more detail, like the way the water, um, moves. And curves, like makes different shapes within the inside, right? So we could have these kind of outer lines that come in. And give a sense of like where the white and stuff like that would be in the image. The white line itself. And you could have some different varying shapes to kind of help break it up. And again, that all comes with time and practice. So just put in the effort. If you stuck around all the way to the end and you found this cool and exciting, leave a comment. Let me know. Let me know what else you want to learn. All right. I love teaching art, and leaving comment helps me get you what you want to see. So make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. If you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you. We're slowly growing. It means I'm getting more students, and that's all that I care about. Is I just really want to have as many students learning how to draw as possible, but you're going to help guide with this curriculum, right? You're going to help your viewing of what you want to see grow. So leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see on the channel for any of the videos. Fun Draw Friday, Monday Art Lesson, Tiny Tuesdays, anything you want. Just leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Other than that, thank you again to everyone who is subscribed. Have a wonderful day. Remember to keep on sketching, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye.